You're listening to Baby Steps, sponsored by Soho and Oxford Baby, a podcast dedicated to exploring the personal and emotional journeys of mothers from the moment they discovered they were pregnant through their pregnancy experience to the birth of their child. I'm your host for today specifically, but my name is Jonathan. I work with this wonderful company, and today I have an amazing guest. Her name is Kristen, who is the customer service manager at M Design Village. But in addition to that, she will actually be the actual host. I'm just the temporary one for right now. Kristen, welcome to the show.
No, thank you.
Of course, it's going to be interesting for you to be on the other
Yes.
end. But today you're on the other side of the table, as they say.
Yes.
So first question is going to be about your pregnancy experience. Tell us a little bit more about the moment that you found out that you became pregnant with your first. How many children again?
I have one.
One. Okay,
I have
so
one.
then
Yep.
the one and only.
The one and only. I knew before I officially knew. I just knew, and we were so excited. So we didn't tell anybody until we were into that. We finished the first trimester.
Wow.
Nobody knew.
Wow.
Yeah, just because, so many things can happen. So we were excited. So we just held on to our secret until we hit that, 12 weeks. And then we let everybody know. I'm one of five. So I was the second oldest and the second one to give my parents a granddaughter. So now they have one and only granddaughter. All are all boys.
Do you remember the moment that you potentially took a pregnancy test and then delivered it to your partner? What was that like?
Yeah. So I remember like it was yesterday. I knew, so I had got a test the night before. I didn't say anything to him, and I took a test first thing in the morning, and I woke, it was like bright and early in the morning, and he's a sleeper. So I woke him up and I told him, and super excited,
Amazing.
So it took like 2 or 3 just to, couldn't believe it. But I still held on to that test today. It's still in her baby book.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I would say I had a very similar experience in that aspect. It was like really early in the morning. My wife and I had some troubles conceiving for the first couple of times. We did a lot of research and development, as they say.
Yeah.
And then eventually morning came, she took it, and then we just were elated. It's one of those experiences that you'll just never, at least for me, I'll never forget. And obviously you too. So
people don't realize the journey that, to get there. Like everyone, it's not always easy, right? So there's struggles. So everybody goes through it. Not everybody talks about it. So there are. And I agree with you. And that's kind of the point of the show, is just to hear the different stories of other people that may have had trouble. It may have taken a couple of weeks. It may have, a couple of months. It took us 6 years. So
did it really?
For us,
Wow.
It took us 6 years. Yeah.
Wow.
6 years. So,
and was it like something that you actively thought about? Or?
No. So, no. So it was just, I was already what they consider advanced maternal age. So, I was like, okay, well, I'm like 35. This is not going to happen. Like, I just kind of put it out of my head, so, and then, then I just knew, like, like that. I just knew, like, it was different than any other time I knew that I was pregnant.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'd say for me, it was, not for me because,
Well, yeah.
but for us,
Yes.
for my wife and I, we put so much pressure on the situation. And then there's a scenario where we're just like, you know what, F it. We're just gonna, if it happens, it happens. And then literally that month where we both kind of like took away that pressure was the month that it occurred. So that's amazing. So, okay. So now you are 3 months pregnant, and where's your mentality at? Like, did you always have a maternal instinct, or was
I
this something
did.
that, yeah,
So
okay.
before I do what I'm doing now, I was always that kid that wanted to hold a baby. I
Mm,
worked as a director of a daycare for many, is like when I got out of high school, went to college, was going part time. Like that's what I did. I was a director of a daycare up until I started, in the baby furniture industry. But that's what I did. I always loved being around babies and kids, So
that's
yeah.
amazing. That's cool.
Yep.
Do you have any memorable moments during the pregnancy? Like, for example,
One.
I'll share a personal story. The due date is the 26th, which is 2 days away from this particular day. So,
Yeah.
I would say my wife is currently upstairs. She's, uh, for all I know, she could be giving birth as we speak. But for the most part, I'd say something that we did was every 26, we went out on a date
Oh, cool.
between ourselves. Or every month we went on, even if it was like a coffee date, like we just went on a date.
Oh,
What were
that's
some
nice.
of the memorable moments during your pregnancy that you can remember?
I remember one that sticks out was St. Patrick's Day. I had no morning sickness
Nice.
at all my entire pregnancy.
Do you
So it
have a
was
boy or a
easy.
girl again?
I have a girl.
A girl. Okay.
So, but this one particular day, it was St. Patrick's Day, and I remember my husband making corned beef and cabbage, and that was the only day that I was like, this has to go.
Yeah,
So that was like the one time that I remember not feeling well. Like it was terrible.
for sure. My
And
my
yeah,
my my situation was eggs, and I
oh
have
yeah,
like two eggs every morning, which like
yeah,
really sucks.
yeah,
So yeah, I never felt the more hatred and visceral reaction of like get the hell away from me type of thing than in
yes,
that moment with my wife. So I can
yes,
understand.
yeah,
So cabbage, I think that's pretty. I'd say
yeah.
most people would do that even if they're not pregnant. So
Right. But that was like the one time of me just not feeling well. Like
for
through my
sure,
whole, I was happy and it was very, although I was nervous, because each month, each day that I made it, I was like, okay, now I'm, you 3 months, you're worried about getting through your first trimester. And then cause you hear so many other people's stories, right?
for sure,
Unfortunate stories. And so then I was like, okay, now I'm making it to, I'm almost 5 months. I'm there. I'm 20 weeks. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then you get to see the sonogram. So for me, because I was advanced maternal age, every week, I got to have a sonogram just because. So that was kind of like, I didn't worry as much because I got to see her every single week. You know what I mean? Like I had to look forward to. So I kind of knew if there was something going on or, so it just mentally made me feel better.
for sure. Did you have like a birthing plan?
No,
No.
no.
Would you
I
recommend
mean,
it for other people?
yes, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I was kind of like, I just wanted to get through. I was just taking each day at a time. Like I figured, okay, I'll cross that plan. Like when I get to when it comes time to give birth and when it comes time, you know what I mean? Like I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I just wanted to make it through each day. Like I was just, worried about like being advanced maternal age and then they want you to go through certain tests and some things I was just like, for me, it's not for me, like they wanted to do that amnio. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I will take whatever is with my child. That's what I'll deal with that. Like, I just did not want to take any risk, anything unnecessarily, test that I didn't have to.
Was
So,
there anything that you did or ate during
yeah.
pregnancy that you'd recommend
Yes.
for other people?
I ate like I loved ginger like that because and that could be part of the reason that I did not like feel sick, like I know
Hmm.
that's one of the things, and I found
Ginger
that
ale or like ginger
the
tea? Or,
ginger, like actual ginger,
oh,
just like,
you're
yeah,
just
like
like
it's
popping it
strong,
like,
but just yeah. Or they had these like ginger candies. Like I think and that
okay.
helped me a lot. Not that I ever felt sick, nauseous or anything, but
Yeah.
I did take that. And the other thing that I found that helped, and I even recommend to my friends now, even coworker that's pregnant now, is I started taking prenatal pills even before I
Yeah.
got pregnant.
Nice.
And I felt like that made my pregnancy a lot easier.
Nice.
Like I just felt like you still need those nutrients. Like it was just preparing my body for what was to come, So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I still is prenatal and postnatal pills to
Okay.
take those for sure.
Nice. Was there anything that surprised you that you'd probably just alert the people that are listening right now, just to say, hey, this was my experience, and outside of the prenatal, postnatal, et cetera, and the ginger, something that women should be looking out for?
Um,
And if the answer is no, that's okay.
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's my daughter's just, she's a little bit older. So, I mean, she's a preteen right now. So, like, it's been several years, but not that I feel like there's so much more now that the doctors tell. I'm sure even your wife, the thing, as you know, things change, right? When I was little, you couldn't sleep on you're not supposed to sleep on your back. You sleep on your stomach. Now, when my daughter was born, you sleep, the baby's supposed to sleep on their back, not their stomach. But I did what she did not like her back. So I slept her on. My mom said, you survived. So you have to do what, like they can suggest, but in the end, you're the parent, right? You know your child best, right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
I mean, that's the decision that you have to make. The doctor can only suggest what is right, what is recommended, but
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do what you feel is the right thing to do.
Were there any books that you read prior to delivering, or
What
like,
to expect? Yeah, what to expect when expecting is like pretty much the standard book.
For sure.
Yeah, and that was very helpful. And because I was 35. I did have friends that had children before me, so it was helpful to hear about their experience.
Yeah.
So I kind of take a little bit of what people went through. My sister had two, children before me. So I was able to take a little bit from each experience and say, hey, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And one thing that I just tell everybody, like people are going to do what they want to do is try not to hold the baby to put them to sleep. Let them sleep that was the one mistake that I made is I would hold her and then put her down in her crib. So the second that she went down, she was waking up. She could stand noise. I would vacuum around her, but just try to put the baby in their bed and let them fall asleep on their own. That was like the one mistake that I made.
Yeah. Yeah, and that happens.
Because you're so tired.
For sure. I can only imagine.
You're so tired. So, but again, you have to do what works for your family, right? If you're, I only had the one. So, but I am sure people that have multiple children, they hold them okay and they're dealing with the other one. So, I mean, that's what worked for me.
Yeah, well, that's good. And obviously every story is going to be different, and every journey is going to be, different as well. I guess a couple of things that I wanted to add on to that is what to expect when you're expecting. There's a dad edition, like there's dad elements inside that book, which can be very helpful.
Yep.
In addition to that, Baby Wise is a book that I've read, that, again, I'm not really educating you, but I'm educating the people that are listening.
Right.
Is a good book for dads to read in addition to moms, just so you can understand what your partner or wife is going through. So now we have the whole process, right? We've gone through the journey. You are pregnant, you delivered, and then now the baby is here. What are some precautionary things that you've did, whether it be inside the nursery or around the house, to ensure that you have a safe living environment for your child?
I always made sure, like, especially when she was little, like newborn, like no blankets in the crib, I didn't use bumpers either. I just, because then I could see inside of the, the crib. Another thing I didn't really do is I always used, she was a formula drinker. So I never used a bottle warmer. I always used room temperature because I figured, one, I didn't have to worry about it being too hot. And two, if I was out and my baby was used to super warm milk, how am I even heating up the milk if we're out in the store? That's a whole. Then you're driving yourself nuts trying to figure out how to. Okay, it's almost time for her to eat. I got to get home because I don't have warm milk. So, like I always, for several reasons, I made sure I had room temperature stuff. The cabinets, I always had those locks on the cabinets, so she couldn't get in once she started, moving around, and just really just. I was very cautious about the food that I gave her when it came time to eat, like when introducing new foods for allergy purposes, like I would only introduce something new once a week, really pay attention to see how she handled that. And it wasn't until later on in life that she developed an allergy, right? So it wasn't necessarily when she was younger. I mean, when she was about 10 or 11, 10, she started to have gluten and dairy allergy. So it doesn't always come out right away. So
yeah, for sure. That's interesting. I've been reading a lot about the science behind breast milk versus formula, and the study was shown that sometimes, and this is just an interesting fact for anybody listening, or again, I don't know if it's a fact, but is documented in education and scientific purposes, that people or children with formula develop potential stomach issues later on in life, which my mom passed, so I don't quite know what I was, but I have a very strong feeling that based on my stomach history, there's a very strong chance that I was probably formula. So it's interesting to hear that
I was breastfed by my mother. For me, my goal, I did want to breastfeed. Yeah. Unfortunately, I made no milk, was not able to breast, not a drop. So even in the hospital, they tried to help. I tried to pump once I got home, and that just was work. Not in the cards for me. So unfortunately, but I feel that if someone can do it, it is healthier, I think, all the way around.
Yeah. That's good. Well, I mean, one thing that at the M Design Village, again, Soho baby, Oxford baby, is safety. Very important to the products. It's good to hear that you took the precautionary measures in place to protect the crib, to protect the room, and things like that. I have one final question for you, and you can go as long as you want in this one. But to the people that are listening who are expecting right now and have absolutely no idea what to expect, and this journey that they're about to embark on, do you have any general advice that you would like to give to a young woman or a parent, a father, but right now that are currently listening? Do you have any advice?
I mean, I just say enjoy the journey. It is as excited as you are. Don't get so caught up in worrying and not enjoy your journey, right? Like, you always have that worry from the day that you find out you're pregnant until, you give birth, and it never changes, right? Like you worry, it's one thing after another. So enjoy the journey, because it goes by fast, right? Yeah. And take advice when you can, but also do your research, right? Like I said before, do what works for you. You know what I mean? You will have a lot of people that have a lot of different opinions on what you should and shouldn't do. And in the end, it's your child, right? So take a suggestion, try it. If it doesn't work, and try something else. And there's a lot of mom groups. If there's, like, I know in my town, there's a mama's Facebook, Instagram. I feel like if they do have social media, they should try to join. And even if you don't chime in, just kind of see what the chatter is about. I find it very useful. You find out what's going on. You find out other moms in town that are having children, are on the same journey you are at the same, or at different stages where you can do, meetups and, play dates. And that's how you start to, and you could share your stories and just, your journey. So, I'm experiencing this, or, I didn't experience that. Or they know someone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. And thank you so much, Kristen, for everything
Yes.
and the wise words.
Yep.
As you know, you'll be taking the seat over shortly,
Yeah.
and you'll get to experience amazing stories like the one that you just had. And I would say I would speak to that final piece of advice that you said. Every journey is definitely going to be different,
Yeah.
and what's really hard that I found is through Instagram. There's so much advice now. There's so many people creating content that just know that not all content is created equally and not all content is true. So be careful with what you listen to.
Right.
Be careful with what you try. Everything is going to be different.
Right.
Incredible. So thank you so much. So everybody that's still watching and still listening, you've been listening to Baby Steps, which is sponsored by Oxford and Soho Baby. And if you're in the market for a new crib, glider, dresser, or even more, we'd love for you to check out our line of furniture. You can head over to oxfordbabyandkids.com or sohobaby.com. All of the links will be in the show notes. If you entered the coupon code podcast10, you're going to receive a 10% additional 10% off your total purchase, plus free shipping on all orders over $799. Thanks for listening and tune into our next episode. Bye for now. And remember, every step is a step towards progress. And we hope today's story gives you the confidence and the assurance that every journey is different, but we do it together. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Thank you for your time.